and he's also a professor in the Department of Data Science and Artificial Intelligence. Prior to this, he served as a professor at IIT Dharwad and earlier spent more than a decade at IIT Guwahati, progressing from assistant professor to professor in the Department of Electrical Engineering and contributing significantly to teaching, research and academic leadership. He received his PhD from IIT Madras. His research spans speech and handwriting processing, pattern recognition, machine learning, deep learning and AI-driven signal processing. Addressing both theoretical challenges and real-world societal needs, Professor Prasanna has an outstanding research record with high-impact publications in leading IEEE, ACM, Springer, and elsewhere journals. He has guided more than 21 PhD scholars. He has also led and contributed to major sponsored research projects funded by DBT, Imprint, and NLTM, focusing on speaker recognition, speech-to-speech translation for under-resourced languages, assistive speech technologies, and multilingual speech systems. In addition to his academic achievements, he has made significant administrative contributions, serving as Dean, Research and Development at IIT Guwahati and Dean, Faculty Welfare R&D at IIT Dharwad. He played key national roles as chairman at GATE 2011 and organizing vice chairman of GATE 2010. In recognition of his contribution to teaching and academic leadership, Professor Prasanna received the National Award for Teachers in 2023 and is a senior member of IEEE. We are truly honored to have Professor Mahadev Prasanna with us today for a keynote presentation. Welcome,
talk rather than my research area because with the recent impact by the generative AI field, all of us as teachers and students, all the more students, even researchers, we are seeing a lot of disruption that is happening in our academic space. So that is where of course, there is a lot of uncertainty looming around in the academic space. So yesterday, I was part of a panel discussion. One of the audience asked whether higher education institutions will be there after 5 years or not. Our teachers are required after 5 years or not. So these were the questions the audience were asking. So this type of uncertainty is looming in the academic space. So that is where for example, students feel that whatever material required for learning in a particular course is available in the public domain in terms of YouTube videos. That is there for a long time, but now with Gen AI tools, it curates you and gives you the material. So naturally, students feel that now why do we require teachers? And now teachers feel that now when we go to the class, no student is interested in learning. So why do we teach? So researchers feel that now with Gen AI tool I can directly generate some results. Why there is the need for depth research? So a lot of uncertainty is going on. So that is where one of the things I was thinking was when we discussed with peers, but the reassuring thing is the role of teacher is very central. Only thing is the way in which we are going to perform as a part of the academic space may change. Even higher education institutions are important, where rather than within 4 walls of classrooms, we have models for an academic institution. But all this supported by the
canteen
generative
side,
AI.
yeah, of course.
So
How
the
many?
only thing is again coming to the AI part, people say, oh, if AI is there, it will take over, people will have an unethical use of AI for all our works. How do we handle this situation? So that is the four challenges that I'm trying to address. So that is why how do we carry out teaching, learning and research by using the developments in the artificial intelligence responsibly. So that is the objective of the talk. For example, when we come to the artificial intelligence, so when we come to the artificial intelligence, if you see the abilities of artificial intelligence, this field is going to, am I audible? Volume. So, when we come to the field of artificial intelligence, it is trying to mimic some of the human abilities, like learning capabilities of humans, it will mimic on a computing machine. The perceiving capabilities, whatever with the sensory mechanisms, what we can perceive, auditory or visual perception, some of those mechanisms it can mimic. Even decision making things which humans do as a part of their natural intelligence, it will mimic. And like this, reasoning, problem solving, all those things. So we are trying to mimic some of the human natural intelligence capabilities on a computing machine. Okay. So by that, it doesn't mean that no, it is going to replace the humans. Some of the capabilities of the human natural intelligence are being currently well performed by the AI models on a computing machine, but it doesn't mean that it is going to replace the humans in any particular task. Only thing is it will improve the efficiency at which we can operate the machines in a man-machine interface. However, we can't neglect the developments that is taking place in the field of AI and say no, because of our many of the misconceptions we have, again we should not lag behind adopting AI in fullest extent. If you see, we have powerful large language models for understanding and generating text. We have generative AI tools like ChatGPT, many equivalents of them have come. AI agents are there which can perform many human tasks if you code them properly. Language translation is possible now. And even AIs now, AI models are becoming creative so that it can generate new art, music and stories, so many things they can do. In the end, the efficiency of the existing products and processes will improve many folds with the help of AI. So because of this, I can't say I will not use AI. Okay. So as a result of this, we need to adapt to this new technology disruption. Only thing is that responsible way of using the AI in all fields have to come. Okay. Now suppose when you look into the next generation technology products or processes are coming, everywhere people are talking about AI enabling those technologies. AI enabling means in a given product or process, if I want to make it AI enabling, I need to have a mechanism for collecting the digital data from that product or process. Suppose an electromechanical system, then we may have to use industrial IoT, cyber physical systems and security over cyber security. All these things will play a role to generate more amount of data, digital data. And then the amount of data is so large, it is not possible for manually pre-processing and organizing them like what we were doing in the earlier era. That is where the data science will come, where it focuses on data-driven models and decisions, which is done automatically. Finally, artificial intelligence will use this organized data to retrieve some hidden information, hidden pattern information, which can be exploited for any actionable intelligence. So in that way, all these three dimensions will go hand in hand. So while we are thinking about AI enabling the next generation products and process. If you quickly recall whether how much AI will impact in the next generation technology, if you go back and read the history of industrialization, 2-3 centuries back, when most of the things were manual labors, okay, and people brought these mechanical systems, and the energy is by human operators, but definitely compared to the simple manual systems, mechanical systems increases the productivity. Then when electrical energy came, they electrified all these mechanical systems, and because of the electrical energy, the production increased much more. Once the computing came, they connected the computers for controls and communication with the electromechanical systems, and this is what has happened till the turn of this century. Now what we are talking is AI enabling means essentially in these products or processors, we are going to use data science, artificial intelligence and digital technique concepts to enable the systems to make them data-driven, real-time decision-making systems. And that is what the improved next-generation systems will have: efficient, cost-saving, data-driven systems. So, if you see this now, if any country which were doing only manual labor, they can't say, no, I will not use mechanical systems. And you can only delay. It will take over. That is what has happened in the human history. Similarly, electrical energy came, then electrification of the mechanical system took place. Same way, computerized systems, they have got modified into computerized systems. Now this will become AI-enabled systems. But now the difficulty that we are facing in this AI era is, for computerization, we had nearly about half a century time for computerizing your electromechanical systems. But the AI, the disruption is so fast, everything you have to do it within one decade. Okay? Whatever we took about half a century to computerize the electromechanical systems, that we need to achieve within maximum 1 decade. Maximum 1 decade we have to achieve these aspects. So that's why the time is too short for us in terms of debating whether you require, whether we should go towards AI enabling the systems or not. For example, in the software era, where all these MNCs were asked to build banking softwares, people signed, big MNCs signed 15 years or 20 years contract to migrate into banking software with some nationalized banks. But now those banking systems, they are asking, you have to AI enable our software systems, but within 2-3 years. Okay, so that is the way, which they did it for 15-20 years, now they are asking you have to do it within 2 years. Okay, so that is the rate at which the demand is coming. Naturally, so conventional software engineers' roles may go away, but their roles will be redefined in terms of data scientists and AI thinkers or something. Some designations will come, because first level code is developed automatically by generative AI tool. Nobody needs to code. What is required is thinking, critical thinking, and then designing the systems and see whether the generated systems from the Gen AI systems are useful for a particular task. So that is the way things are going. So keeping that in mind, see, we don't have much time in debating on whether to adopt AI or not. So otherwise, no, we will miss this bus also in the nation. This is what I have told, no, industrialization, mechanization in 18th century, electrification in 19th century, 20th century was digital, means mainly computerization. And Industry 4.0, which is turn of this 21st century, it is sensing and large data creation, which was cyber physical system, IoT, data science, AI. But data science evolved once large data started getting collected, how to organize the data in an automated way. AI is simple, classical AI people were using, classical machine learning. But 2010 onwards, when people started talking about Industry 5.0, Now we are talking about better human-machine collaboration, where empower people, safer, efficient, and meaningful work, where the deep versions of the AI are being adopted. So here, for example, there are many practical operating environments where human lives are put into risk in their daily work, what they are doing. Now with the Industry 5.0, people are thinking how to make those places safer, human lives safer, but still give the same efficiency. So that is where the Industry 5.0 is thinking. Now we are already thinking about Industry 6.0. From here, now of course you might have heard of, there is a lot of sustainability developmental goals people talk about, because we are not caring about environment, what will happen for this environment for the next generation. But now in the Industry 6.0, they are telling with humans and AI, and they will have a stringent automatic system that will guide how the next generation products and processes are to be generated. Means sustainable developmental goals are taken automatically by them. So this is the way things are progressing. Essentially, if you see, currently we are here, man-machine mismatch, which is essentially, even if you consider a computing machine, I will think that no, it's a very intelligent machine compared to a simple mechanical system. But still, there is a lot of mismatch between when I want to use a computer for my purpose. I have to use my keyboard, I have to look into the visual display. These are not a natural way of interacting with the entities. But since we are not able to do, we are talking about that. Now we are talking about a seamless collaboration. That means to say, my next generation machines will be as if I am interacting with the humans. So that means you increase the level of AI level there, implement AI agents into that. As a result of that, they also have a semantic understanding. They understand now what I am trying to say. It may not be a structured way of giving instructions to the machine. It is as if I am interacting with a fellow human. I give my instruction using different modalities. The machine should be able to understand and cooperate with me to do particular tasks. That is the level at which we are talking about when I am talking about AI enablement. So this is about that, this is where the overall setting is there in the external world, where our next generation will go and work, where they will find their careers to be done. So for that, now as teachers in the academic setting, what is that we are, how do we place ourselves in this era of generative AI, still make our professions relevant? Even when the same model which I told for industrialization, AI enabling, same thing I see for the teachers also. So if I see, sometimes we are in a traditional teaching model where we focus on information transmission by teachers. That is to say, there is a specific syllabus and I want to go and teach as per the syllabus and cover the syllabus. But what is the next generation? Our modernized education system around the world taking shape is a personalized learning paths for students. That is how the advanced educational settings they are thinking of. Because the next generation, their learning process have changed. How to cope up that, where a modernized education system should be able to help in personalized learning paths for the students. Of course, we all moved in the traditional mode because there are a large number of students in a class. I will not be able to, how do I do a personal attention? So as a result of that, now we have come to a very common setting. But now, with the help of AI, I will have additional capabilities to enable this personalized learning. So that is where the whole world thinking. We need to redefine the teacher roles. Now, what people, as I told you, teachers' roles are still central in academic setting, but may not be like a traditional teacher. What is required is we need to act more like learning architects and mentors. That is to say, if I am teaching a particular subject, I have to see what are the critical concepts they have to learn in a particular subject, and how do I mentor the student that they are going to get clarity on those concepts, rather than I am going to teach every bit of the course which I am teaching. And that is where I I will put a learning path for them as a pedagogically what concept they have to watch and what concept they have to clarify, and then design a question settings for them whether to understand whether they have really understood that concept or not. Otherwise, you refer them to refer something else and come back. So that is what people are talking about, learning architects and mentors. There is no traditional teaching expected, and even curriculum and assessment updates. We have to reimagine the way we have to assess the students. The typical rote learning reproduction may not be a suitable thing to test their ability to go to the practical setting. And of course, we have to adopt to AI integration into the system. For example, instead of telling students not to use AI, we should encourage them to use AI tools. There are universities already, they allow in your examination you can use ChatGPT for your answering. But the answer, it is not the answer that you have generated from ChatGPT you are given the marks. The set of prompts that you have given to generate that answer, that shows your thought process. And based on the thought process, they will evaluate. Okay? See, if you have read, you have complete clarity on the concept, you design the solution, accordingly you put the prompt for the ChatGPT and generate the solution. Now the teacher role is just to extract those prompts. Step one, this prompt he has put. That means to say, he has made a different move in the first step, already his ambiguity has in learning. So that is how they do the evaluation. People are adopting in that way. There are no, and of course there are, maybe later slide it is there. What I wanted to say is the role of teacher is in terms of designer of learning experience for the students. Creates AI integrated learning environment. A mentor in critical and ethical thinking. So this is most important. For example, the next generation, when all of you go to industry, you are supposed to extensively use GenAI tools for generating the solutions. And at that time you say, in my college setting they did not allow me to use GenAI tool. Naturally, a student who has complete exposure to GenAI tool will be preferred. Because I think you might have seen some advertisements also. Oh, I have a meeting in next 15 minutes, can you generate a slide deck for me? This is the rate at which the industry is expecting. They will say, no, oh, there is a project requirement has come. In next 2 hours, we have to send a detailed project proposal for that. Can you generate a DPR? Now you can go to ChatGPT and do that. It will give you beautifully a project report, which is, if you are from a domain knowledge field, you can easily, if you are taking 1 week, you can do it in 1 hour. It will generate, or even few minutes, it will generate the report. You only have to edit based on your domain knowledge whether that report is proper or not. So that is the way people are using in a practical setting generative AI, and that is what is expected. If you say no, I don't know GenAI tools, I manually prepare the slide deck, they will not agree. Okay, and only thing is, we have to tell students when we are training them what is the ethical part of it. When we are using AI, what is the ethical way of using AI? What is the responsible way of using AI? That is what is the most important thing we have to advise them, that you are allowed to use AI tools, but these are the statutory warnings you have to declare. And this should be in sync with when you go to a practical experience of learning or in a working place, in what framework they allow you to use the AI tools, and the same framework we should allow them to use. And what, as a result of that, now we are telling we don't have to teach entire syllabus in the class. We are acting as mentors and learning architects. We are allowing them to use AI tools. Then what is that, as teachers or education institutions, we have to instill when they are staying with us? This is what we have to do. We have to gradually assess their competencies, which are the skill set they have to acquire as students, which are human capabilities, which cannot be easily replaced by AI, next generation AI systems. And that is where most of us have to spend time. For example, I want to generate a project report or a project proposal to be submitted. Within next 1 hour, I want to generate a project proposal. that capability I want to generate for a student. And report will be generated by maybe in few minutes by the ChatGPT, but in next half an hour, whether he or she is able to check that everything and look at the important points are there, what is important for a project report, all those things. And that is where we have to generate those skills. Means we have to put the learning exercises, everything for the student, everywhere gradually to see them know the skill abilities they get adopted and become ready for the next day. Of course, as a teacher, I personally believe without Gen AI it will be difficult to take care of students and teach effectively. Of course, we as teachers we know over time we have learned the pedagogical way of teaching things. We may have to combine them as a hybrid approach for effective teaching inside their classes. And if you see current generation, when I'm teaching a course, we are acting as a team. There is a role to be played by AI and AI tools. There is a classroom focus, is the role to be played by teachers, and there is a role to be played by student activities. Okay, I don't question whether you used a Gen AI tool or not, because Gen AI tool is allowed officially to use. Only thing is whether the student has done the customized practice or not. That is what I want to check as a teacher. And when I'm going in the class, I'm not teaching from first sentence to the last sentence in my slide deck. What I'm going to see is a targeted intervention, whether the students have really got clarity on the core concept or otherwise where my intervention is required. And that is how people are thinking how effectively all of us as a team play a role, where AI also becomes a part of our teaching and learning. Even people are talking about oral defenses and viva style of examinations than your traditional exams based on memorization. Okay, so where you just focuses on rote learning rather than critical thinking, and that is where people are talking about oral defenses and viva style. Of course, when you have large numbers, how do we do? That's where the Gen AI tools, AI agents will come into handy to help you out. Okay, and what people are looking now. See, you might have seen people are recruiting, many companies are recruiting after 10+2. They say we don't require engineers. Okay, I see whether the 10+2 student is capable, critically is willing to think something differently, we are going to adopt them. Then we train them in Gen AI tools. We also give them distance learning BSc course or BS course. And in 3-4 years we train them well, such that they are ready for the next generation type of work. So the whole world is moving in that direction. What is that? They call portfolios development. So as a student, it is not that all of you will be putting in CVs. One semester you went and met a teacher and got a project title and you put that. Last semester I did this project. Next semester you don't meet the teacher, go to another teacher, you take another title and put it. This is a very standard pattern we prepare CVs as students in engineering. 4 or 5 CVs you saw, 4 or 5 projects, but those things have no value now. Okay, what is that they are thinking is what is called portfolios. Portfolios means what is that live project experience you have? Have you worked on a live project taken? And what is the solution you gave at the end for that? Almost like when you are an industry, working in an industry and you worked on a live project of the industry and generated the output and you reveal your experience in the portfolio. And that is what people are looking for. Okay, and whether can we create such things in an academic sector? And that is what people are talking. And this rote learning thing, even to the extent industries are telling, CPI, one number of CPI, 9 out of 10 has lost its glory now. Because maybe they can use it as a threshold for shortlisting students for the next level. But it has no direct correlation between whether he has that portfolio learned as is there or not. The change in requirement also is like this. Earlier, okay, above 9 CPI, let me take to industry, I will have 1 year for training. I will training for 1 year, then after that I can put him for the job. But now the disruptions are so high in generative AI field. If you are training for 1 year, by that time new set of tools have come, new set of requirements have come. The training itself has no meaning. So as a result of this, now they are expecting during the student journey, you have gone through live projects, you have created your own portfolios. One of the simple window is through your hackathons or semester-long, year-long internship that you do in an industry to get exposure. These are very important, and that is where now as an academic institution, how do we create opportunities for them? That is where new assessment paradigms are coming. So essentially, definitely if I do a careful integration of AI, efficiency in teaching task will improve for our teachers, and inclusive and accessible education can support diverse learning needs. That is to say, when we are teaching within the class, I can't focus on just top 10 fellows or the bottom 10 fellows. I only focus on the larger 60-70%. Now with the AI tools, I can provide targeted intervention for each category. Even though I focus still on the larger category, but how do I support the diverse learning? Essentially, in a primary institutions, we are teaching the students to help this one. Now AI agents can do that job to help them for better learning. So as a result of that, their professional development will provide provides insight, access to research and insight, professional development. As a result of that, the students, when they are gone through a 4-year process in a setting, they also develop. Earlier it is okay, you have fundamental concepts, you will train in industry, but the requirements are changing. That's why the role of teachers also needs to be changed. That's what I wanted to say. So we have to ensure academic integrity, that's why responsible use of AI, redesign the curriculum, teacher readiness, means invest in training and infrastructure for the teachers, and address equity concerns. So with these AI tools, we should be able to virtually realize the personalized learning capabilities for each of the students. So essentially, if I go for in true sense, the AI will not replace, it will augment human intelligence. Okay, that is the end result of adopting AI. We have to promote transparency using AI, and we have to integrate ethics into at different levels what we are doing. And we need to focus on higher order skills. As a process of training the students, we need to focus on whether they are developing the higher order skills which are not be able to easily mimic by AI tools. And we have to encourage reflection, fostering critical evaluation of AI assisted work. That critical evaluation, just like I told, use Gen AI tool in your entrance examination, but I critically evaluate based on the sequence of charts prompt you are given, and adopt dynamically. You have to create that capability of student. Every day there is a new Gen AI tool is coming. Oh, I studied ChatGPT, now some complexity has come, I don't want to use it. Now new tool I want to study. But that is not the case. People should be welcoming to see whether this tool is better than that. Then immediately they should be able to adopt, and because the advantage of adopting a new tool is much higher than just dealing with the old tool. So that is where all these parts we have to enable in an academic setting. So essentially, we have to move from knowledge transmission to meaningful learning. So that is what we have to ensure as a part of higher education settings. Then there will be a relevance for the teachers also, relevance for an higher education academic setting also, where you have to guide students through abundance. Means students are now lost because in a public domain so much information is there. Then how do we help them to navigate through the abundance of information? Harness AI responsibly, cultivate ethical AI usage, and cultivate human abilities, foster judgment, creativity, empathy. These are not easily can be mimicked by humans. As a result of that, there is a meaningful learning happening in an academic setting, which is ethical, intelligent, and human-centered. So that is where now the whole world is thinking now in terms of adopting AI in the education setting. Same way, coming to the learning aspect also, uh, see, the traditional learning is only in terms of, there is some syllabus given, I just want to learn that. But with the same time you have spent, with the help of AI, you can learn much more than that. That students themselves can do. Okay, so with the help of Gen AI tools, you can come up with your own charter for learning, personalized learning you can do, skill development you can do, and even as a result of that, it will lead to augmented learning. This is for the students. If you want to charter a path for yourself, where you have to know, you have access to information, that to sanitize it, and targeted information which Gen AI tools can give you. So practical skills, you can interact with the AI tools to improve your practical skills. You can build knowledge with the help of Gen AI tools. You can develop AI literacy with the help of that. Only thing is you have to, these two are human abilities which you have to practice very carefully. One is enhance your critical thinking. That's the most important thing. Second one is practical responsible use of AI. Responsible UI means, see, without even thinking yourself on how to solve this problem, you just put it to ChatGPT and say, once it gives the solution, then I'll think about the that problem, this is the way to solve. Then you have lost this critical thinking ability. You should have the mind map of how the solution comes. Then you use AI tool. That is what is the critical thinking. Otherwise, no, it will spoil your thinking abilities. Then you will go into a shallow mode of learning, and then you can be easily replaced by next generation AI tools. Okay, so this is what I have already told. So as a learner, it is both for teachers and students. What is required is, with the current generation AI technologies, we need to generate this lifelong learning mindset. That is the most important. See, earlier, I have done my degree, I don't have to read in the rest of my life. And those things will not be applicable now onwards. You should have a lifelong learning set. Okay? So update skills, embrace uncertainty, and stay adaptable. These are the requirements in the job market. And peer AI collaboration. You should carefully think what tasks I have to do, some tasks out of this, what I can outsource it to AI, what I have to do, and then when the AI does it, and I take integrate and make a whole solution. That is divide task, validates reasoning, prototypes rapidly. So you can generate your results much faster with collaborating with the AI. And learning through dialogue. You can ask questions, guides reflection, deepens understanding. All these things you can do with AI tools. And AI-assisted exploration, you can explore things with the help of AI tools. And now what this AI field is offering to the learners, it is creating a removal of barriers. Removal of barrier means, see, in the earlier era, I think now also it may be there to some extent, that once one discipline, especially in India, it's very true that now discipline-wise we have silos. Okay, mechanical discipline is very different from computing discipline. So as a result of that, being a mechanical faculty, if I want to do something, I want to use AI, I have to over-rely on an AI faculty. Okay, but now with the help of the Gen AI tools, it removes that barrier. You don't require an AI expert to develop your mechanical-oriented product or process. AI tool will help you, which is equivalent to that of an AI expert. Okay, access to exploration, support, tools, resources, it will do. Similarly, if I am a computing person, I want to do something in fluid mechanics, I don't have to go rely on a mechanical professor. It will give me a first-hand knowledge on all fluid mechanics, which is used for a task. I can do mine. That is what is this removal of barriers, and that's where you can migrate across the disciplines that will happen because of this Gen AI tools. Okay, and faster skill acquisition, accelerated learning in various tools. You don't have to code things from the scratch. No coding is required. These Gen AI tools is like using an app in your mobile. They are really an apps on the mobile phone. So you can faster skill adaptation you can do. And as a result of that, experimentation, iteration, self-correction, all these things you can do it in a much faster. So that is the ability that is being offered by Gen AI tools. Of course, this is what the over-reliance on AI, which will essentially, the critical thinking if you lose, then you will go for this over-reliance on AI, and then you stop learning. You will have a very shallow learning that will have a problem there. It is as good as you have not learned anything as a process. So then academic integrity, and another biggest problem that is happening now is what is called digital divide. Earlier in the computing era also we called about digital divide, which is somebody who knows how to operate the computer, they have better access to some facilities and services versus who doesn't have access to the computer. But now that is further amplified now with the Gen AI tools. Who have access to the Gen AI tools, they will have access to the better information, faster information. For example, if I want to use ChatGPT, monthly I have to pay a subscription of 2,000 rupees. Okay, somebody who can afford the 2,000 per month can only have that easy access to the information. So now you can see it is further amplifying the digital divide among the learners who have accessible to those resources versus who do not have access. That's where the biggest danger that is happening with the digital divide is furthering the digital divide. Or we were thinking it will democratize and people will be able to have access to information, but now it is taking in a different way. So that is where we have to think together how to handle this situation. As an institute, we should see how to help students to have access to these resources. So essentially, we should use AI as a guide, verify the outputs, you reflect critically, engage actively, be transparent, develop foundational knowledge, and cultivate curiosity. So, in a sense, first we should all think in the way that Gen AI is the next technology disruption. There are a large number of benefits. I would like to use that tool for my task. That clarity we should have. Only thing is you should use it as a guide or a tool for you rather than you handing over your work to the AI. So that distinction you should have. If you do that, then suppose your productivity is X, your productivity may increase by multiple times of X in whatever task you are doing. But that careful distinction between your role and the AI tool role should be identified. But if you are not going to use AI tools, I will say you are going to be treated as an illiterate in the next work generation. Okay, so that you have to be careful. Same way, that's why if you are not using AI tool, you are still remaining in the era of shallow learning. If you use this critical thinking, ethical judgment, concise assignment, you will go for a skills for future leadership. That is what is all of you should think next generation how to go for. I just quickly see this even in the domain of research also what we do as faculty. Here also we can simply take a lot of benefits from the generative AI tool. Where when I want to do traditional way of doing research bottleneck is it's a slow process, a routine research task. It will take a lot of time to produce any tangible output. Alternatively, you can use AI tools at different levels. You will be able to get faster and more innovative research can be done. Okay, and the same ethical principles apply there also, but it will help you out fostering your research outputs. Accelerated literature review we can do with the help of generative AI tools. Enhanced idea generation can be done. Okay, and data analyst support cleans data and generates code for you. and it will give you writing assistance, and it can help you to do cross-disciplinary research. So all these things are possible with the help of generative AI tools for a researcher. Okay. For example, writing assistance means I'm not telling you, I will ask the generative tool to write a complete paper for me. One of the biggest things, since we are not native English speakers, whenever you write a research article, one of the biggest rejections which used to happen is, oh, there are a lot of English mistakes in the article. Or you have to get it corrected from a native English speaker. Okay. But now you don't require. You have the draft, you upload it, it will give me a native English speaker. So you say, see, that is what I tell about. And even literature review, which in a traditional physical library, as when we did PhD, we used to spend 6 months time in the back volume session. Now you can do the same thing within 1 month. Okay, same quality output you can generate out of that because of the GenAI tools, whatever they are. Even when you have a research hypothesis, you can bump with the GenAI tools and ask, no, how do you feel this as a novel idea or not? It will give you the pros and cons of them. So that is the level at which it can act like a co-supervisor for your research work, what you are doing. So that is the way people are exploiting. You can use AI as a research instrument. You can novel areas of inquiry enabled by generative AI rise, and democratization of research. AI's role in lowering the barriers to research participation. So it gives you, emerging research opportunities also. It will help you in simplifying the new field and helping you to get onto the field faster and throwing you out some important research questions. Then you can engage with the AI tools and start. Of course, there are superficial understanding. You should not just simply, without investing time, you don't completely rely on AI tools, then you will have a superficial understanding. Data privacy concerns are there, responsibility issues are there. Threats to originality. See, now in the research output, now as of now, universities ask you, what is your plagiarism report? Less than 10%, 15% should be there to eligible to submit your thesis. Now you have to search for the real content in the generative AI. Everything is generated by generative AI. Then how do I ensure that your original contribution is brought out in a paper? So all these things are there that we have to do. And so ethical decision making, methodology to master critical thinking and judgment, AI literacy. These things are there. You can foster your research framework. So what we have to do when we are doing research is responsible AI use in research. Disclose your AI use wherever you have done. Avoid critical thinking outsourcing. You have to generate the ideas. Only you can bump with the GenAI tool whether your idea is great or not. You cannot say you are give me an idea to solve the research question. Okay. And maintain data privacy. You should ensure that you are not violating the data privacy conditions. You should be able to verify AI content. It is not that whatever AI tool gives is not 100% correct because it's a trained model. You should have some basic domain knowledge to verify whether the output is given is right or not. And document prompts and workflows. The another problem is with all these generative tools, you have generated your ideas through prompts into that system. After 1 week you go to that tool, it will give you a very changed output there. Because continuously the models are getting generated, new versions are coming. That's where you have to document the prompts also, what you are doing. Retain human oversight. So human interpretation of AI generated results, you have to always keep that in mind. Essentially, if you see, you can balance the best of both. If you see human researchers' role, we drive innovation, generating new things. We have a purpose for doing research, and we always look for rigor in our activity, what we carry. It will enhance your creativity if you use AI tools along with that. It accelerates the workflows and it democratizes the access. So in that way, by taking both of these two words, you can increase the productivity of your research also. Finally, essentially, whether it is teaching, learning, or research, responsible use of AI will amplify human potential. Let me summarize that way. It has not come here to replace humans. It will only amplify human potential when you use it responsibly. So as a result of that, we can move from just a simple knowledge transmission to amplified human potential, where we are deeper, wiser, more meaningful learning beyond that. So that is what I just wanted to say. With these few things, I will now stop here. Thank you very much. Any questions? Any questions?
On behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to thank you, sir, for the very insightful session. Sir gave us a very insightful session. Let us not use AI as a substitute. Let us keep it as a partner, and how to make use of it for the teaching and learning process throughout our career. Hope all of us make it use of very efficiently. Thank you so much, sir. So to enrich our conference experience, next we have our next keynote speaker, Mr. Harsha Kodnar. So it gives me a pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, Harsha Kodnar, Senior Director Technology at Tally Solutions. Mr. Harsha Kodnar is a seasoned technology architect with a close to 25 years of dedicated service at Tally Solutions, contributing to the product design, architecture, Tally Solution, contributing to the product design, architecture, development and delivery, and currently leading deep tech initiatives under Tally Solutions Next Gen Solution. A significant highlighting of his contribution is pioneering work on Nudi, a Kannada script writing software which was released as a freeware by the government of Karnataka and has benefited nearly 500,000 users. He has also played a key role in establishing the KSCLP, which later contributed to the Unicode standardization for Kannada. He has received several prestigious honors, including National Manthan Award, Ramana Ratna from RIIT Mysore, and the Tally Ratna Award from Tally Solution. Please join me in warmly welcoming Mr. Harsha Kodnar for today's keynote session. Welcome, please.
Good afternoon. Okay, so it is a post-lunch session. I know difficult to hear. So I'm going to talk about deep tech, right? So you can even more able to concentrate more on it, right? Yeah, I'm going to talk. I don't have any presentation. I'm going to talk. So basically, I'm going to tell my own story as an engineer, starting from very 25 years back to the age of today, the age of AI era, and what has changed, and how you should look at your own when you get into this. So we are here gathered to discuss this emerging computation. It's a very fancy phrase, right? Emerging computation, AI, and all of that. It is suggests that it is something out there, and we are going to go and find it, right? Or it's going to something which someone has already built it, and we are going to go into that. But actually, when you look at it, emerging computation is not something that you wait for. Emerging computation is something that you create, you innovate as engineers, you architect it and you build it, right? Someone like us, engineer, is someone who's built AI, someone who's built many. So it's a distinct honor to speak at this international conference. I must acknowledge here of this institution, ICECIT also. At Tally Solutions, we have been privileged to hire many ICECIT graduates over the last 1.5 decades, and many of them are still with us. So they didn't just become a coder or users of the tool. So many of them have learned the fundamentals of engineering, and they have grown into the technology, core technology leaders. So we have few architects who are working on some deep technology who came out of this college, graduated out of this college. So today we stand here at this critical junction of the history of computing, right? So today the world is defined by speed, complexity, and the revolutionary force called artificial intelligence. So everyone talks about artificial intelligence. So AI is everything today. And sometimes when you think about AI, it's also easy to feel overwhelmed about it, right? So it's easy to feel that anyway the machine is there and it will take us over, right? Or it is easy to feel that if AI can write code, what will we do as engineers, right? We have nothing else to do because AI can write code, it can replace us with. So my message here to this conference is that there is actually plenty of things that we can do even in this AI era. And in order to find what we can do with this AI era, we must change how we think. So we cannot use the old thinking, we must change how we think. So my talk, what I want to talk today is centered around 4 pillars that must guide us to do research and engineering in this AI era and to stay ahead of the machine. So the 4 points that I'm going to talk today is about fundamentals, durability, efficiency, and the diversity. So these are the 4 points I'm going to talk about around the computing. Let me just step back to 2 decades back when I started my career. So that time the landscape of IT itself was just forming, right? So it was 1998, and I don't know how many of you know, it was a .com boom time, right? So everyone was wanting to build a website, right? So everyone wanted to build a website, everyone wanted to create a startup with a .com in their name, right? So if you are not building a web portal, you are considered as the left behind. Investors were also throwing a lot of money to any company who have .com in their name, right? So there was a lot of confusion about the value of core engineering. Somebody who has been doing a lot of core engineering, what will happen with all these websites came, everyone is building websites, so what will happen to this core engineering, right? So in fact, many people, when I just started that career, I've been deep into C, C++, assembly programming, etc. And people have asked me this question, Hasha, why are you still doing the C++ coding, assembly coding, right? So the future is HTML, they should just learn HTML and coding HTML. That's what people said. But I didn't chase the boom. I committed myself to the fundamentals at a point in time. I choose depth over the width. So my journey started in trenches. During my college days, I was building a DOS-based Kannada script rendering program, and not even knowing that in a DOS, in a fixed width font days, it was impossible to draw any Indian languages in that. So I didn't even know that. The fact that I didn't know, it allowed me to do a lot of research and learn a lot of things about it. Yeah. So even in the college days with our classmates, we have also built a model of battery operated car, right? So one man would actually sit and drive it. So a battery operated car is what we made. So it was long before today EVs are $1 million businesses, right? But actually my defining moment came when I did some work through a non-profitable organization in Bengaluru, which is called Karnataka. When we were doing work in a non-profitable organization, you have a lot of advantages. What? So one disadvantage you have is you won't get money, you won't get paid to do anything, right? So that is a disadvantage. But there are a lot of other advantages were there. The one thing is there, when we were researching something, we were not chasing market trends. Oh, there is a latest market trend, let's chase that. Right? So we were not worrying about even business model. We were not worrying about if our business fails. What should be our exit strategy? We were just trying to solve a very fundamental problem. We were trying to research and solve a fundamental problem, and that was computational linguistics. So basically, how do we make Indian languages thrive in the digital era, right? So that's what we were trying to solve as a fundamentals. That led to a software called Nudi. Now it seems very simple today, but think about the days when it was the age of DOS, age of the initial versions of Windows. Computers were all built for English, so they could easily understand English. ASCII was there, right? So, and now we are trying to bring Indian languages into them, and Indian languages have a lot more complexity. So they are phonetic, they are non-linear, right? They have complex conjuncts and so on and so forth. So all of that you have to fit into an extended ASCII of 128 codes, right? So that was not easy. So we researched and figured out something called as a KSCLP, Kannada Script Code for Linguistic Processing. You can think of this as an alternative to ASCII. So we wanted to bring Kannada and other languages into it, but it was specifically designed for the Indian complex scripts and languages. And we not only solved script codes, we also had to solve rendering. How do you bring those Indian languages come on the display, right? So we had to solve sorting, right? Sorting algorithms is even today I think the world is solving sorting algorithms, collations for Indian languages and then many other complex languages. So this deep foundational work what we did on the Indian languages, it actually become critical input to the Unicode standard. When Unicode 4.0 came and Indian languages started getting into the Unicode, so it became part of those standards. So the takeaway is actually we have also faced uncertainty with the .com boom and all of that, but we beat it by sticking into the fundamentals. So today, when we look at this era of emerging computation, the only way to stay ahead is to stop consuming technology. As long as we are non-engineers, we can consume technology. But as an engineer, if we start consuming technology, right, who will create it? So we'll have to create it. We have to create the technology, we'll have to invent the technology so that someone will consume. So I'll talk about these 4 mantras to survive on this age of AI era. So to thrive in the age of AI, we must move from being users of the tools to architect of the system. We must architect the system, and with AI it should be much more possible by taking AI as a helper with us. The first mantra is go deep. We often talk about emerging technology as if it is magic. So I was talking at home yesterday afternoon and say AI can do this, AI can do that. It all feels like magic actually, right? So, but if you look at it from an engineering mindset, it's not magic, right? So all this latest excitement which is happening in AI are just operations on a multi-dimensional array, right? It's a massive multi-dimensional array, and there are certain arithmetic operations which are happening on this multi-dimensional array. That's what AI is. So when you look at engineering mind, you will get a very simple picture of it, right? Yes, this AI in order to run LLM to run, they require a massive computing power because of the total size of the models and other things, etc. But the fundamentals is math. So as long as you understand these fundamentals, it becomes much easier to understand anything which comes out of it. Be it AI, or be it any new technology, any new era comes out of this. So in today's era, the world has moved into building quick software, right? Everyone is in urgency. Everyone wants to do something and move forward in life, right? So They want to do a quick and dirty software, and they have given a name to it. What is the name? MVP, right? Minimum viable product, right? So there is a hurry to release, there is a hurry to going to market, because the investors' money will go away. So there is a very urgency to go to the market, and once you release the product, then you will spend years of time in releasing security patches, right? Or bug fix releases, right? So there is always this hurry. So in Tally Solutions, I work on heading a next generation deep tech platforms that we are trying to build. And over the last 6 to 8 years, we have been working on researching and building that from scratch. It's a greenfield project, so that's what we are trying to build. And in Tally Solutions, we don't use tools made by others. Most of the time, we figure out, oh, even if I write one C++ code and I have to use an STD vector, right? So we think, oh, that STD vector must also have been written by some human only, right? So it cannot be the code. So then we should also be able to write it. Let's go and figure out what it does internally, and let's write it ourselves, but let's specialize it to the way we are going to build our software, and that's what we do, right? So we don't use tools. We are building a communication protocols now. We are building a complete from the scratch communication protocols. We had built our own object-oriented database. So it has survived around 3 to 4 decades so far now, and it is still going strong. And we have built a language, programming language. We built it's called DSL, domain-specific languages. It's called TDL, Tally Definition Language. So we have built a language from scratch, and we have built an associated tool chains for the language, interpreter, the IDE, Integrated Development Environment, and the end-to-end, all the ecosystem. So we built a developer ecosystem on top of this language. And currently, as a part of the next generation technology initiative, we are building something called as an asynchronous programming framework. And we are using something called as a weight-free algorithms, right? So we spent around 3 years in writing our technology platform, our database, using C and C++, and using multi-threading. And after looking at the amount of race condition, concurrency issues, and threading, and all these complexities, we decided, let's create our own programming framework. I think that's better and more sustainable. So we started creating a programming framework. So we are creating a underlying programming model, the technology associated with, to be able to get maximum throughput from the multi-core machines. And as a surface to all of this technology, finally we are actually creating a no-code environment on top of this. So that is something what we can use for all our next generation products. So this is a project and research work which is happening from almost last 6 years now. So we started somewhere after the corona. And most of you would ask, why do we do this, right? So why do we need to go so much deep? So there are enough databases are available in the world, right? So you can just choose one of the database. So there are enough programming languages, frameworks are available, some Node.js, React, Rails, that, enough things are available. So why do you have to build all of them? So the answer is, finally, for the end users who are going to use our software, so we'll have to give simplicity, we have to give flexibility, we have to give durability to them, right? So anyone who buys a software, it should be simple to use. It should be flexible enough for us to do his work, and it should be durable, right? It should be long lasting for whatever the money he has paid, he should be able to use it. As engineers, it means that we will have to take all the complexity. You cannot deliver a simple software without taking all the complexity by yourself. We will have to take all the chaos. We will have to take the diversity, and we'll have to build the software with patience. So that is what we have been doing in Tally. So we are building a deep tech enabled product, and this also we call it as MVP, but it is not minimum viable product. We call it as a maximum valuable product. That's what we are building. So students, I'll tell you that don't just go behind an API or a library or a framework. You use it, but you still never know what is happening inside it, and those things will change, something else will come. Understand, go down, go deep into the systems, understand how data would move in the memory. What happens actually when you allocate some memory, how the data moves to the CPU. Understand at that level. Understand what is the network latency at a packet level. How does a data moves in packets across the network. So I think if you get into this level of fundamentals, that will help you survive in this age of AI. So the rule is frameworks comes and go. Over the last 2 decades, I have seen enough programming language, framework, enough things came and went. Languages will come and go. Trends will come and go. There was a trend of .com website, building website, there was a trend of mobile applications building, there was a trend of blockchain, I don't know where it vanished. And then now AI comes, it will again, something will happen. But the point is, don't go behind this trend and chase this trend. Chase the fundamentals. Because the fundamentals of all of this technology is mathematics and physics, right? That is eternal. That very rarely changes, right? That is durable for long period to come. So it is about to going deep. So in the architecture, it's called in civil architecture, but it's also said in software architecture, there's a saying that you need to dig deeper to build higher. You need to dig deeper to build higher. So we have been digging deeper. So 30 years back we dig a lot deeper, and our technology framework and our product has survived 30 years with zero competition. Let me move to the second mantra. The second mantra is about building to last, right? So how do you build it for durability? Today we live in a use and throw world, right? Everything is use and throw today. Startups born and vanishing in just few years, right? So Tally is a company which has started in '86. So the 26 next year we will reach 40 years, right? And startups, I think, I don't know, 10, 15 startups will have came and vanished in this period, right? So startup born and vanish, and code also gets rewritten every 2 years because it becomes unmanageable. So I often talk about this physics of software. So in physics, if you see, there is a concept called entropy. So the disorder which increases over time. So in software, we call this entropy as technical debt, right? So in the hurry of releasing software, we introduce a lot of technical debts. So if you don't design for durability, if you don't think for durability, your software will soon start rotting, right? And hence you will spend enormous amount of time in maintaining the software. Let's take an example of a bridge. So in my hometown near Shimoga, there's one bridge which was built by Sir Vishweswaraya. So it is a 60-70-year-old bridge, and it had submerged under the Bhadra backwater. So it is deep under the water for 60 years, submerged. And very recently, the backwater receded a few years back, and we were able to go and see that build is really strong. Even today, it is standing strong. I call that as the engineering, because engineering is about building something for durability. Now look at this modern softwares, right? How do we build modern softwares? So we have a durability paradox. That's what I use here. What is the fundamental reason why software was created? Anyone? Why software came into existence? Okay, so software was invented to make hardware last longer, right? So without a software, if you buy something and if you have to add new features, you cannot add, right? So you have to throw away that hardware and buy a new hardware. So the only reason why software was created was to make hardware last longer. But today, what happens? Heavy software updates slow down your older hardware, and you throw it away and you buy new devices every time, right? So essentially, software is started killing the hardware life rather than increasing the hardware life. So that is the durability paradox we have today. This is not a sustainable computation. This cannot go long. Yeah, there are certain big deep pocket companies are there. There are stock market, enough investors' money is there. So how long they will burn it, right? So it's not going to be a sustainable computation. That's where we will also see the booms like the .com booms and other things. We will also see the recessions in the software industry. So both comes only because of this. So at Tally, we don't build software for the next month or next quarter. So we build the software considering upcoming decades. What will it take to build something which can survive for decades to come? Our core engineering of the technology platform we have built has already sustained 30 plus years. So the interesting part is it runs on even today's device, which is okay, taken for granted that it runs on even today's latest device. But what is interesting is it also continues to run on older device extremely well. So that's how we built with a minimum layer of compatibility, durability, all of these aspects we took and built it. So my question to you is, are you building a paper cup that you typically use it once and throw it away? Or are you going to build a bridge as an engineer that will last hundreds of years? So that is something to think about. The real engineering is about building assets that can last for a long time. So we will move to our third mantra, engineering for economy. So we said that throwing hardware at a problem is not a strategy. It is a compromise. You have money, so you are able to throw hardware at it. If you want to reach high scale, the cost must come down, right? As an architect, typically when you go, you will have a strategic choice to make. When you build a software, do you want a few hundred customers who will pay you in millions, or do you want millions of customers who will pay you in hundreds? So that's a choice you have. When you go to the industry, when you architect a software, as an architect, that's a choice you get to. Yeah, of course, it is not your choice alone. It's also the choice of the business whoever is running. But that is an important choice you have to make. In Delhi, specifically in the Indian market, we choose the latter, right? So we wanted to get millions of customers who pay hundreds and not the other way around. So this is the choice which dictates how we do engineering in Delhi. So there is a significant difference between generally how people do engineering versus how we do engineering in Delhi. Think about unit economics. So if you serve millions of users, you cannot afford even a single line of inefficient code. With investor money, business owners will have some urgency to go to market early. Developers get lazy, right? Anyway, let's get something and release. They get lazy, they write code that slow down. Then what is the answer? Just add more machines. That's it. Go to AWS and increase the capacity of the machine, add some more machines. So that is the answer. But remember, so cloud costs are operating expenses, right? If you add machine, it is not a one-time cost, it's an operating expense. If your code is inefficient, your cloud bills will also grow linearly with the number of customers that you are going to get. This is called law of diminishing returns. That's where every business will head. And this you can connect back why so many startups comes and vanish every few years, right? So this is one of the reasons, law of diminishing returns. So your business fails not because your product is bad, but the engineering was bad, or engineering was wasteful, right? So don't just solve the problem, solve it cost effectively. That's a very important consideration to make, especially in a country like India and the scale we want to choose. High performance computing is not about how much fast a program runs. It is about how much maximum throughput that you get from a given machine capacity or every rupee that you spend on the cloud, right? Look at ISRO as an example. What they did? They did a Mangalyaan, right? They did a mission to Mars, far lesser than the cost of a Hollywood movie, right? 400 crores is something what they spent to get a mission to Mars. So that is actually the engineering excellence and building for cost efficiency, and that is a mindset I think we need. Finally, we will move to the fourth mantra, which is architect for diversity. So for decades in India, since software started in the 80s, right? So India has focused on services. That's why there are a lot more service companies are coming. So it's called Twitch, right? Wipro, Infosys, many companies are there. So it's called Twitch. So we focused on services. Basically, what we were doing, we were executing ideas which were developed somewhere else. So the actual architecture, the actual design, actual strategy of the technological strategy, everything was happening in America. So then they used to send it here to code. So we used to write the code for them. So that's what the service focused country we were. But that era is over now, right? So we are now in an era of building in India and for the world, right? So we are building many things. one of the interesting thing is each of us being in India have a superpower that the Silicon Valley engineers do not have it, and that is actually diversity. India is a chaos, right? I mean it in the best way. We have so many different languages in India. We have different taxation laws. We have different internet speeds, right? We have different user behaviors. So many diversity is there in India. If you build a software for a Western country, which is a very standardized environment, that software will not run in India for even a day. Please remember that. Just to take an example, Intuit QuickBook was a company which came to India as a competitor to Tally. They had their own accounting software, but the way the software was designed for a very well organized Western market, that software couldn't fit for India. India is far more diverse, far more flexible, etc. and so on. So, if you build in India, you have to build for that diversity, taking consideration of the diversity. When you look at Tally, Tally was also not built for a simple or standardized Western market. We took the sheer complexity, diversity of the Indian business ecosystem. We have a humongous amount of diversity. How every Indian, every businessman runs their business in India. This complexity is what forced us to develop a product which had to become very simple and very flexible. So even today, we literally have no competition, right? We get to around 80 to 85% of the market share, and the rest of the 15% market share is owned by some thousands of companies put together. So that's what we have here. Another example I would want to take is DPI, right? Digital Public Infrastructure, UPI and Aadhaar, etc. These systems handle billions and billions of transactions, right? So today everybody takes their mobile, QR code scan, payment is done, right? Billions and billions of transactions that UPI and Aadhaar handles today. So they handle the scale of India. If you handle the scale of India, you handle the scale of the world, right? So they handle the scale of India. These are the deep tech solutions which actually came from the India, and today they are the envy of the world, right? Many other countries also have been taking our UPI and other framework, and they are implementing it in their thing as well. I would call this as the golden standard of engineering. So this is the way engineering should be, not writing an AI agent, right? So that's not an engineering. Now, let's talk about where we are sitting, right? So you often hear prediction about the future. If you keep it simple, it is India's time, right? That's what everybody says. It is India's time. This is India's decade. This is India's century. That's what the predictions are. India is moving from world's back office to becoming the world's product and technology powerhouse today. So you all hear about chip design happening in India. You hear about quantum computing, sustainable energy, artificial intelligence, of course. So everything is happening in India now. So we are no more a back office for the world. So the government also has this Make in India, which is not just about manufacturing, they are also encouraging this research and development, homegrown research and development. The point is, as India, we are now no more consuming the technology, but we are actually building those technologies. I don't know, many of you know that you use operating systems, we use compilers, we use many things. And typically when it comes to the lowest level like chips or the operating systems or compilers or language, etc., we think all of them are done in America, right? What India does only application programming, high level, right? So, but you will know that LLVM infrastructure, LLVM, right? So LLVM is something which is first researched and started in India, right? So there's a person from Mumbai who did that. C-Lang compiler, the C++ compiler was done in India. So we need basically world-class products built by Indian engineers for the Indian context. Because if you are building for Indian context, you can easily go and grab the world. But it is not other way around. So one of the best example I always used to talk about is driving. Let's say you learn driving in US, then you want to come and drive in India, right? Impossible, right? It's impossible. But if you are able to drive in Indian Bangalore Silk Road, US is like the easiest thing where you don't have to worry about anything. So that is the beauty of this diversity. That's what you actually learn. And just to take this, getting into fundamentals and deep, than getting into surface level technologies like AI and all of that, let me take another example. So if you learn driving using a level 2 autonomous driving car, right? So then for whatever reason you go to a village one day and you have that old style, no power steering, no manual gear and all of that, will you be able to drive it? No, right? But if you have learned the driving using a no power steering, no automatic cars and manual gear and everything, level 2 autonomous is child's play to drive. So always go to fundamentals, then any tech, new emergence happens on top of it is always easier to grab when you know the fundamentals. Of course, the path ahead is uncertain, so technology is also changing at a very high speed. With AI, the speed at which changes happens will again exponentially grow. So, but the country is looking actually hungry for innovation, and we have really good deep tech companies out there now in India. That was not the case. Most of them were building websites and building applications. So now that is not the case. We have a lot more deep tech companies in India, and many companies are there like Tally who wants to really make a difference to the end users. So when you step out, so remember these 4 mantras I talked about. First is the master the fundamentals. Deep tech is your shield against AI, right? Second one is build long-lasting solutions. You should build a bridge and not a paper cup. And engineer for efficiency. Cost efficiency is a very important factor. You should be, your software what you build should be able to scale up without spiraling up the costs. As you scale up, cost cannot grow linearly. Fourth one, build for India. Consider India as a diversity and build it, and your software will excel outside, but not the other way around. So don't chase the next trend, chase the fundamental problems, and become an engineer who uses AI to build impossible. Don't hand over your problems to AI, which is what Sir also was telling. That's all I have. Thank you so much.
It was a very insightful session, sir. I hope our students take it what it means to be an engineer. It's not just about building a paper cup, it is about building a bridge, so that they take the fundamentals very seriously, and they hope they work on the things related to their subjects, not just using the AI. On behalf of the organizing committee, I request Sumalata ma'am to hand over the token of appreciation to Harsha sir. Thank you so much, sir. I request Dr. Abadama, HOD IIC, to hand over the memento to Harsha sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
I request those who have the participants of the session 2 to stay back in the room for the paper presentation, and rest all can move. Thank you.